The future of abortion rights has become a hot-button issue nationwide ever since the leak of a Supreme Court draft that signals an overturning of Roe v. Wade. Governor J.B. Pritzker has emphasized that Illinois will remain a safe state for people to access abortions, even if federal abortion protections are removed. And joining us to talk about the future of abortion in the state are State Representative Anna Moeller, a Democrat from Elgin, State Representative Tom Morrison, a Republican from Palatine, and State Senator Cristina Pacione-Zayas, a Democrat representing Chicago. Welcome all of you back to Chicago tonight. I'll start with you, Representative Moeller. For those still confused, clarify for Illinoisans what the law says here should that draft opinion of Roe v. Wade become the final ruling.
So in Illinois, abortion will stay safe, legal, affordable, and accessible, even in the event of Roe v. Wade being overturned by the Supreme Court. We, as a legislature, and as the prior governor and our current governor, have signed legislation to ensure that women and individuals who need access to reproductive health care will be able to access those services and have them be made affordable and accessible.
All right. And Governor Pritzker has been outspoken on this issue in recent days. Let's give a listen to what he said recently.
It's long past time for this nation to codify Roe v. Wade into law. If it takes overhauling the filibuster, then overhaul the filibuster. If it requires countless hours of pleading and deliberation, then get to work. If it takes courage, find the courage.
Senator Pacione-Zayas, as you know, several states would outlaw abortion should Roe v. Wade be overturned. Other states are considering criminalizing women who seek abortion. What kind of assistance are Illinois lawmakers talking about for out-of-state women that come to Illinois seeking abortion?
Well, just yesterday, Governor Pritzker announced $11.2 million in Title X funding, which goes into the family planning program that the Illinois Department of Public Health administers with 29 delegate agencies, 98 sites across the state. They're planning for an estimated increase of 30 to 50% of uptake from out of state individuals seeking safe abortion. The other thing I think is that there's been a lot of promotion of abortion funds. In Chicago, we have one that are able to administer grants and take care of transportation as well as housing should individuals outside of Illinois be seeking a safe abortion within Illinois.
Representative Morrison, are Illinois Republicans content with Illinois being seen as sort of an abortion oasis in the Midwest?
Well, I think Democrats have really, there's a huge disconnect between the sort of policies that they're pushing at the state and federal level and where the majority of voters are, whether they live in Illinois or around the Midwest. And it's appalling, it's shocking to me to hear my legislative colleagues say that basically cheerleading, taking Illinois tax dollars and paying for abortions for out-of-state residents. I mean, Illinois residents don't even want to pay for abortions for in-state residents. I mean, poll after poll has showed that taxpayer funding for abortion is decidedly out of the mainstream, out of the majority opinion. But that is what some of the abortion industry and abortion proponents within Illinois just continue to push. And there's, like I said, there's just a huge disconnect between where the general public is on this.
What about that, Representative Moeller? Is there a disconnect here between Democrats' position using public money to help fund abortion and where the mainstream public opinion is?
I don't think so. Poll after poll shows that a vast majority of Americans support access to reproductive health care, including abortion. And what we're doing here in Illinois is ensuring access to health care. Abortion is health care. These services shouldn't be exclusively provided or available to those who can afford it, those who have private insurance. Every woman, every individual who needs access to reproductive health care should have access to that, regardless of their financial situation.
Senator Harris, it's really important how the question is framed is absolutely critical, because when it's framed as just generic health care, well, you know, who'd be opposed to health care? But when the word abortion is used, then the favorability drops precipitously.
Senator Pacione-Zayas, you've been outspoken on should the Roe v. Wade leaked draft become the final ruling, how it would affect communities of color. Can you explain how it would affect the women in the Latina community and the Black community?
Absolutely. I mean, women of color and individuals assigned female at birth oftentimes have a difficult time navigating healthcare and obtaining access, whether that be because there's limited economic resources or there isn't culturally and linguistically responsive services and limited staff that can assist them in that process. And so I think when we think about this, we have to kind of frame it. It's about bodily autonomy. It's about self-determination. It's about privacy and choice. These are really basic, fundamental human rights, but particularly when we think about seeking safe abortions and reproductive services, particularly for communities of color and individuals where English is not their first language, it becomes difficult to navigate.
Representative Morrison, as you well know, Illinois Democrats are in the majority in both chambers, and they have the governor's office. Do you anticipate Republicans pushing for any kind of anti-abortion laws down the road in Illinois?
Well, I think just talking about where Illinois actually is, the sort of policies that have been pushed, there's a lot of the general public that just doesn't understand. I mean, because again, there's just such a huge disconnect between where voters are and what common sense is and the sort of policies that have been pushed. I take, for example, the repeal of the parental notice bill that just was signed into law, what, about 6-7 months ago. I mean, when you look at the polling on this, something like 72%, their statewide poll was done in March of 2021 by the Terrence Group, 72% of parents either strongly or supported the notion that the law should at least inform parents if their minor daughters are seeking an abortion. And yet the Democrats pushed it through. There were Democrat no votes on that bill. This is not just a Republican Democrat divide issue. There were Democrat lawmakers that voted no because they understand that parents have a right to know what's going on with their minor daughters, what's going on with their healthcare decisions. I mean, think about, the school cannot give an aspirin. The child cannot go on a field trip without the parents acknowledging and giving consent. And yet children are going to go and get a medical procedure like an abortion without the parents even knowing. It's crazy. And again, it just flies in the face of where the majority of the public is.
Representative Moeller, you were a chief sponsor on that parental notification legislation. Why did you feel that that was important?
It's important because it protects the most vulnerable people in our state. We know that over 80% of young people do go to their parents or to a trusted adult when they experience an unplanned pregnancy. What the Parental Notification Act did was it penalized, it traumatized those young people who were in very dangerous family situations, who suffered from incest, potential rape, people in their family who may have abused them, and requiring them to go back to the same people who have victimized them to seek medical care and permission to have an abortion, put them in jeopardy. It put them at risk of further abuse, homelessness, forced pregnancy. We're talking about the most vulnerable and most dangerous family situations in our state.
All right, we're going to have to leave the discussion here for now, but we will be joined again by the state lawmakers later in the program to discuss new bills aimed at fighting crime. But for now, our thanks to state lawmakers Cristina Pacione-Zayas, Anna Moeller, and Thomas Morrison.